I have been writing for about 17 years, since 2008. And this one is a book of short stories.
David Walliams is one of the most recognized names in British entertainment. For many people, he was the funny man from Little Britain, or the emotional judge on Britain's Got Talent who wasn't afraid to press the golden buzzer. He became a trusted children's author whose books sold more than 50 million copies worldwide and were translated into dozens of languages. To families, he seemed like the safe entertainer who could make both kids and adults laugh. But behind the bright lights of television and the success of his books, David's life has been filled with struggles, heartbreak, and tragedy. His story is not only about fame and money, but also about fighting battles within himself that most people never saw. From childhood bullying to multiple suicide attempts, from losing his father to public scandals. His journey shows how even the happiest-looking faces can hide deep sadness. The truth about David Walliams is not just the story of a celebrity, but also the story of a man who spent decades trying to survive his own thoughts while making the world laugh. David Walliams was born on August 20, 1971, in Merton, London. His family was not wealthy. His father worked for London Transport, and his mother was a hospital lab worker. They lived in a small two-bedroom house in Banstead, Surrey. From the outside, it looked like a normal childhood, but on the inside, David struggled with feelings he couldn't explain. At just 4 years old, he would lock himself in the bathroom for hours and perform voices he copied from television. His mother often found him talking to imaginary people in different characters. While other children played outside, David was already fighting sadness and anxiety. By the time he joined the Sea Scouts at the age of 7, he wanted to fit in and feel like part of a group. But instead, he became the target of bullying. Other children mocked him for sounding too posh and for acting different. At one summer camp, he attempted to take his own life by hanging himself with his neckerchief. Adults called it an accident, but later David admitted it was intentional. At such a young age, he was already facing struggles most people can't imagine, and it marked the start of a lifelong fight against depression. As David grew older, his struggles did not disappear. When he attended Reigate Grammar School, he faced even harsher bullying. Classmates attacked him physically, leaving him with a broken nose and bruises that teachers noticed. They called him names like Coco, mocking his voice and behavior. At one point, bullies locked him in a cupboard for hours. His weight dropped dangerously low, and his school performance began to suffer. Despite all this, David showed signs of his creative talent. He collected comedy albums, memorized routines, and often performed in front of a mirror in his mother's clothes. His teachers saw both his pain and his brilliance. In drama class, he received top marks, once earning 98% for a performance about loneliness. But the outside recognition could not heal the inside wounds. At just 12 years old, after another painful incident at Scouts, he attempted suicide again using his school tie. His mother found him unconscious and rushed him to the hospital. Doctors placed him under psychiatric care for several days, noting his depression was far deeper than most children his age. These early years shaped not only his career in comedy, but also the sadness that followed him into adulthood. By the time David reached his teenage years, he had joined the National Youth Theatre, where he met fellow actor Matt Lucas, who would later become his comedy partner. Yet even in this creative space, David often felt like an outsider. When he turned 16, he changed his last name from Williams to Walliams because another actor already had the same name. This simple decision was more than a stage name. It was his attempt to escape himself. At the University of Bristol, where he studied drama, his depression became overwhelming. He suffered breakdowns and even overdosed on pills during a Christmas break. His mother found him unconscious in his childhood bedroom, and he later admitted her love saved his life. Despite these struggles, David threw himself into comedy. He performed at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and became part of groups with rising stars like Simon Pegg. On stage, audiences saw a confident entertainer. Offstage, he was battling suicidal thoughts and panic attacks. He learned how to hide his pain with laughter, a pattern that would follow him for years. His talent brought opportunities, but his private life remained a storm of emotions and despair. David's big break came in the early 2000s with Little Britain, the sketch show he created with Matt Lucas. What began as a small radio program turned into one of Britain's most successful comedy shows. Viewers laughed at outrageous characters like Emily Howard, Vicky Pollard, and Marjorie Dawes. At its peak, the show was watched by nearly 10 million people per episode and made millions in DVD sales. Live tours broke records and earned millions of pounds. Walliams had finally become a star. Yet even during this time of laughter, his depression was never far away. In 2003, while working on the show, he attempted suicide multiple times. He cut his wrists, tried hanging himself, and wrote in his diary about not wanting to live. He admitted later that he did not really want to die, but didn't want to live in pain anymore. Even as he made the nation laugh, he was quietly suffering. The contrast between his public success and private pain became one of the most tragic themes of his life. And it showed that fame did not erase the sadness that had been with him since childhood. In 2012, David Walliams joined Britain's Got Talent as a judge. Sitting alongside Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, and Alicia Dixon, his humor and warmth made him a fan favorite, and millions tuned in to watch him every week. He became known for his emotional reactions, often tearing up at heartfelt performances and supporting underdogs with the golden buzzer. For years, his role on the show added to his reputation as a family-friendly entertainer. But, in 2020, his career took a devastating turn. During filming breaks, microphones recorded him making crude and offensive comments about contestants. At the time, he thought the microphones were off. In 2022, the recordings leaked to the press, and the scandal shocked fans. Walliams quickly apologized, but the damage was done. Fremantle, the company behind the show, cancelled his contract. After 10 years on Britain's Got Talent, his time ended in disgrace. The fallout was enormous. He lost millions in work opportunities, upcoming projects were cancelled, and his reputation as a safe entertainer was destroyed. This public scandal mirrored the private struggles he had battled all his life, showing again how fragile his career and happiness were. Even while his television career faced ups and downs, David built another identity as a successful children's author. His first book, The Boy in the Dress, 2008, caused controversy because it told the story of a boy who liked wearing girls' clothes. Some parents criticized it, but many praised it for promoting acceptance and kindness. The book became a bestseller and was later adapted into a BBC film and a stage musical. From there, David wrote dozens of children's books, including Gangster Granny, Ratburger, and The World's Worst Children. These stories, often filled with humor and heart, sold over 50 million copies worldwide and made him one of the most successful children's authors of his generation. At the same time, his personal life was complicated. He married Dutch supermodel Lara Stone in 2010, and they had a son, Alfred, in 2013. But the marriage broke down, and in 2015, they divorced after a long legal battle. The stress of his personal life, combined with his mental health struggles, made those years extremely difficult. While his books brought joy to millions of children, his own life was marked by sadness, divorce, and ongoing battles with depression. In recent years, David Walliams has continued to face challenges. The 2022 scandal from Britain's Got Talent left deep scars on his career and mental health. He sued the production company for recording his private conversations without his knowledge. And eventually a settlement was reached. But by then, the damage to his reputation and opportunities was enormous. Yet, despite losing television work, his books continued to sell, proving that readers still connected with his storytelling. In interviews, David has spoken openly about his depression, his suicide attempts, and the family history of mental illness that shaped his life. He has described how his great-grandfather spent decades in an asylum, and how those struggles seem to pass through generations. David has admitted that writing became his therapy, a way to express feelings he could not share otherwise. Has also reunited with Matt Lucas, working on new projects and planning a podcast. His journey shows that even after public humiliation and personal tragedy, it is possible to rebuild, slowly and painfully. His life is both a warning and an inspiration, a reminder that success does not erase inner battles, but also that people can keep moving forward despite their past. One part of David Walliams' life that has inspired millions is his charity work. Unlike many celebrities who only donate money, David pushed himself through extreme physical challenges to raise funds for children and health causes. In 2006, he swam the English Channel, a distance of around 21 miles, and raised over £1 million for sport relief. People were shocked that a comedian known for dressing up in wigs and outrageous costumes could also achieve such a physically demanding feat. He trained for months, spending hours in freezing waters, determined to succeed. After the Channel, he went on to attempt even bigger challenges. In 2008, he swam the Strait of Gibraltar between Spain and Morocco. Then, in 2011, he completed an incredible 140-mile swim of the River Thames, a journey that took him 8 days. Along the way, he battled stomach illness, cramp, and exhaustion, but he pushed through to raise over £2 million. Crowds lined the riverbanks to cheer him on, and thousands of children greeted him at finishing points. For David, these challenges were more than charity. They were a way to prove to himself that he could fight pain and keep going. He admitted that swimming gave him peace, helping him cope with his depression. These charity swims became a symbol of his resilience and his desire to turn personal struggle into something meaningful for others. David's relationship with Matt Lucas has been one of the most important and complicated parts of his life. The two met in the National Youth Theatre and quickly discovered they shared the same comedic style. Together, they created Little Britain, which became a cultural phenomenon. However, success also brought tension. During the height of their fame, arguments over creative control and personal differences drove them apart. In his autobiography, Matt Lucas wrote that their friendship collapsed, and they did not speak for years. David admitted that their falling out was one of the most painful experiences of his life, because Matt had been like a brother to him. They reconciled years later, reuniting for charity work and hinting at new projects. But the scars of their feud showed how difficult fame can be for creative partners. For David, losing Matt felt like losing part of himself, since their comedy had been built on their deep connection. Fans always associated them as a pair, and their breakup added another layer of heartbreak to David's personal story. Today, their friendship seems repaired, and they have spoken openly about forgiveness and moving forward. Their journey is a reminder that even the closest bonds can break under pressure, but also that reconciliation is possible when both sides are willing to heal. David's career as a children's author deserves special attention, because it is one of the most surprising aspects of his success. When he published The Boy in the Dress in 2008, critics didn't expect much. After all, he was known for outrageous comedy sketches, not children's literature. But the book's message of acceptance struck a chord with young readers and parents alike. It told the story of a boy who felt different but wanted to be himself. And many children saw their own struggles reflected in it. Over the years, David published more than 30 books, including Mr. Stink, Awful Auntie, Grandpa's Great Escape, and Bad Dad. His style combined silly humor with touching emotional themes, and he often included characters who felt like outsiders. His books have been translated into more than 55 languages, reaching children across the world. In 2020, he became the UK's best-selling author of the decade, outselling even J.K. Rowling in children's fiction. Yet, behind the success, there were critics who accused him of recycling Roald Dahl's style. Some also felt his humor was sometimes too dark for children. Still, millions of kids loved his work, and his books brought laughter and joy to families everywhere. For David, writing was not just a career, it was therapy. He once said that the act of storytelling helped him cope with the sadness he carried. His books remain one of his most lasting contributions to British culture, proof that even someone fighting personal battles can create worlds of imagination and happiness for others. Throughout his career, David Walliams has often been asked about his sexuality. On Little Britain, he played flamboyant